A man starting to abuse staff in a countdown in Auckland and leave without paying was detained by news publisher Todd Scott, who was, after 10 minutes of detaining that man on the ground, told to let him go. We're joined now by Todd Scott, owner of Newsroom. Todd, thanks for joining us on the program this morning.
Well, come on, it's the owner of the NBR, not Newsroom. I'll let you away.
Oh, my apologies.
It is a pretty strong newsroom after all.
The National Business Review.
How you doing, Ben?
That's right. Yeah, no, I'm well. Todd, so could you describe to us what happened? You were in a countdown and you saw a man behaving aggressively and attempting to rob that store?
Yeah, mate, I suppose, first of all, I just want to acknowledge that I'm actually feeling embarrassed and confused. But most of all, I'm really concerned for New Zealand. If that's the law, then the law needs to change. I mean, if more people with the ability to do what I did the other day could do so without breaking the law, less people would break the law.
Do you know?
And get away with it.
Todd,
because in New Zealand you can get away with it.
I can absolutely understand that, because I think from your perspective you're acting, you're doing what you view as the right thing, and then to be told, after 10 minutes of struggle, that was the wrong thing, at least in the eyes of the law, the present law, it can't be a great feeling. So you saw this man behaving aggressively. What was he doing? Describe the man, what was going on, what was the scene?
Well, it would be fair to say that he was a big buff. He was a Māori fella, and he was drunk. He was in a pretty bad, aggressive sort of a way, and full of entitlement, and had no worries walking out the door with these boxes of alcohol. And it was just the look of disdain and anger on his face, and his treatment of the staff. And he didn't see me. He would have been more focused on the people that were coming up behind him. And I just sort of launched across and took him out by his knees, and he fell real hard. And it was pretty easy then just to roll him over and put his arm up on his back and put my knee on his shoulder, and just keep him down on the ground. Fortunately, he was so drunk, placid, but.
And so his behaviour that he was exhibiting was causing a fair amount of distress to the staff. Would that be fair to say? I mean, it felt as though it was a dangerous situation.
He was a dangerous man, and it was a dangerous situation. I mean, people were literally just getting out of his way.
Okay, so you've got him on the ground at this point. The manager gets on the phone with police. Do you know at this point exactly what police told her, or you just got the instruction from her to let the man go? Is that all you got?
It was a male manager, but there was about probably, I think, 3 or 4 security that had ringed off the area that I was restraining the individual, and I was sort of obviously looking up at them from time to time just to get acknowledgement that I was in the right place, I was doing the right thing, I was being supported, and I was. They were giving me that look of confidence, and they assured me, they were giving me countdowns for when they thought the police would be coming. Again, pretty smart team of people, because they did things in a way that the thug on the ground had no idea what was actually going on.
Okay, so from this point, you are given the order, or the manager whispers in your ear saying, look, the police are saying you've got to let this man go. From that point on, does this man just walk out completely free?
So, because the manager was smart enough to whisper it in my ear and not have it in earshot of the thug on the ground, I was able to then change my approach, and I hadn't been aggressive with him anyway, apart from the fact that it was a tackle worthy of up the wires. He was pretty compliant when he was on the ground, and I just actually, when he said he was in pain, I'd sort of loosen whatever area within reason. And I just sort of leaned down to him and I said, do you speak to the owl? And he said yes, and he spoke a little bit. And I said to him, kia kunga hau ki te ako hau e te reo Māori ko Todd Scott tako ingoa. And he really just, from that moment, he was like, oh, thanks, bro. And like I said, he was very compliant. So when it came to changing the situation to get him outside, I just let him down and I said, hey, bro, it's all going to be okay. As long as you do what I ask you to do, you're going to get to walk away. So I said, all I'm asking you to do is just calm down, be respectful, apologise to the manager, walk to the front door and leave.
Okay.
And he did, but he was such a big unit, it actually took two of us to get him off the ground. And he did. He shook the manager's hand and he went to the door, and as he was leaving the other side, he apologised to everybody.
Wow.
Okay, so he walks out. I've got here that in the moments after this, you saw another person walking out of that countdown without paying.
It wouldn't have been 7 minutes after releasing the first, dude. Another equally aggressive but shorter guy, which was the irony.
And by this point, you've learnt your lesson, supposedly.
At this point, I'm just folding my arms, looking at the manager and the security with a bemused look on my face, saying, I'm glad that Fiji's my home now.
Yeah, okay. And so they... that man walks out without paying. The police tell you... Did the police say... Are you aware of whether the police said, look, we're not actually even coming to the scene?
I know they told the manager that they wouldn't be and they couldn't be, and then the policeman just around the corner, I pulled him over. He was at the traffic light, so I sort of waved him over and I explained who I was, and I said, were you aware of the incident? He said, yes, I was. He said, so I do need to take the details. And I just said, I just don't understand. What did I do wrong? And
okay.
He said, you can't make a citizen's arrest in New Zealand. That's caught up in the courts. And I just said, look, if that's the law needs to change. More people.
Which brings me to, look, it seems to me, part of this is you acted on instinct. You saw a situation developing that could be dangerous, that was causing a fair amount of, distress to staff. You attempted to sort of mitigate the situation, subdued the person. It would seem to me, by all accounts, that this is a completely reasonable and really the right thing to do. Do you and this isn't the first time we've seen this as well. There was a similar situation in Christchurch where a man was told to let a person who was clearly committing a crime go because A, police wouldn't get there, and B, as you say, it's illegal to or within reason to perform a citizen's arrest in New Zealand. Do you expect to see a political response to this, Todd? Do you think there should be a political response to this?
Well, I don't. I certainly don't want to get involved in politics, but as somebody that lives in Fiji, I'm well aware of the overall picture of disillusionment, confusement with the voting public, and based on the quite appalling reproduction of child's play in the daily news on what our politicians are doing. There's just not enough focus on the stuff that we really need. And the politicians and the government departments and the police can't do it. And hey, listen, if a few of us just sort of stop the thing from happening, you don't have to get carried away, but back another guy up that's doing the right thing. I mean, never do it if there's a weapon involved. I wasn't silly. This guy, his hands were full of boxes of alcohol. He didn't have a weapon. So his weapon was, he was totally vulnerable. As long as I took out his legs, he was gone.
Yeah. All right. Todd, I thank you very much for coming on and explaining that situation, and we'll keep an eye on this story and any political response. I imagine the National Party will probably come out with some sort of response to this, and certainly around the legislation to do with citizens' arrests. Because, as I say, if crime is going to be increasing, ram raids, and the like, and police resources are stretched as thin as they are, and yet when a citizen like yourself is able to subdue a situation or take some of the danger out of it, they're threatened with being charged themselves. Were you was it assault that you were threatened to be charged with, or that you could have been charged with?
Yeah, so if the guy could remember what he did, which is highly unlikely, and came forward again, which is highly unlikely, yeah, he could press charges. But you know what I think is a couple of points I want to make, Ben. Firstly, I think it's interesting that supermarkets are able to show footage of people acting in bad ways. I wonder why they won't release the video of how easy it was for one individual to take down somebody that needed to be taken down. You'll probably never see that footage. I asked for it from the store management, and they were told, no, it only gets sent to the police and it gets sent automatically. And then I had a bit of a chuckle with the policeman. I said, I'd love to see the footage because it was a really good tackle. It was up to Lars Worthy. And he said, it's interesting. He said, because they're not sending it to us right now either, which I think was interesting. And I was talking to Judith Collins, as a friend of mine, so I was talking to her about it, and she said they probably didn't send it because if they did, you'd get charged with assault. And I said, well, that's just nuts. And she said, I agree. And she said, I think Paul Goldsmith will want to have a talk to you. And sure enough, a few hours later, I had a call from Paul Goldsmith. So yes, I think you're right. There is well a time for a debate to be had, and I'm not saying either way, but I definitely think a debate should be had.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think we're only going to see more situations like this develop. Todd, again, I thank you very much for coming on. I do not feel embarrassed for your act. I've had plenty of texts, even just in the course of this interview, suggesting that what you did was in fact the right thing. Good on Todd, what a hero, is the top text on my machine right now. So thank you very much, Todd, and enjoy the rest of your morning.
Yeah, it's a slow morning because I've got to get honest at 53. The back's a little sore. I have to confess to it. There was the chiropractor last night.
Oh, good stuff. All right. Hey, thanks very much, mate.
All right.
Cheers, Todd. That's Todd Scott. And wow, yeah, an astonishing story. And as I said, not the first time we've seen that. But I think Todd's absolutely right. A debate should be had on this. If you're in a situation where you can diffuse a dangerous situation or a situation that's causing distress to staff or to other citizens, and the police clearly aren't able to get there, then that should be well within the law.